Hello everyone. My name is Nessa Fermo, and welcome to this week's episode of Fangirls Only. This week, our special guest is producer, actor, and host, Kash Hovey. Hello, Kash. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show.
No problem. I know that you've been a host and have been for a really long time, and that is amazing. Hosting and podcasting is something that I always wanted to do growing up, and watching your interviews and shows has been so inspiring to me. So later on in the show, you'll need to give me and some future hosts some advice. So,
Well,
okay.
I appreciate you saying so. And you've got an earlier start than I did. I keep it up. I'm a fan of what you do.
Okay, so first question, how do you know you wanted to do hosting as a career?
Hosting is actually something I fell into a little later. When I was a kid, I was always, I grew up in LA. My parents were in the music and film industry, so I was always drawing and acting and stuff. So I did a bit of everything. I was always performing, and then I studied communications in college. I started working at WME, which is a talent agency, and then some acting opportunities and producing, came as a result of that. Just you're in the industry, things are like, hey, Cash, should be good for this. So then I started getting more creative again, and then the hosting. I was actually working on a pilot. I started working with some comedians, and that's kind of when podcasting was taking off. So, I'd go to the comedy store and some big comedians like Whitney Cummings and Joe Rogan and Bob Saget would like drop in and do a set, and I'd watch them on each other's podcasts. So it was really, I really liked the support that they had and respect they had for one another, and the opportunity to just the discussions and talking to different artists. And I love people and I like connecting.
That's so cool. So you're also an actor as well and have been in Jack and Cocaine, as in Kevin, and so many more films. And has there been any that stood out to you or been your favorite?
Oh gosh, that's every experience is kind of unique. I mean, Jack, you mentioned Jack and Cocaine. That was really my first step back into acting because I did some stuff as a kid. I did some modeling and some small roles here or there. Then I went to college and focused more on the business side of things. And then Jack and Cocaine. There's another movie at the time, Undateable John, by the same producers and Joan Jett's company, and so they were developing new content. So after we shot Undateable John, they were like, Cash, we'd like you to play Jack in this movie. So it was like my first like lead in a feature. So, and that the way we did it was, it was so like guerrilla filmmaking. We just, every day was an adventure. We'd go to a different place in Hollywood, and we'd have a general idea, but it was just really one of those fun memories you look back on. And then, I've been, through that, every job kind of rolls into another. And there's been some great people that I've been fortunate enough to work with.
So is there any other acting projects that you've worked on that you can tell us about?
Yeah, there is a pilot I actually just wrapped in June, and then actually just before the strike, I there's a movie called A Unified Theory of Love by my dear friend Valerie Brandy, who did Lola's Last Letter. Was an official selection at Dances with Films. I'm playing Derek in that movie, and we filmed that prior to the strike. So I'll see how things kind of turn out in the next couple of months, and I'm stoked to see how it is. But I had a very fun time, and Valerie and I had been wanting to work together for a while, so I'm glad this opportunity came up.
Yeah. So if you were to be a lead role in any TV show or movie, which one would it be and why?
Oh gosh, wow. But are you talking about a show that's already on, or like my own idea of a show?
I mean any that have been and like any that you watched. No.
Oh gosh, that's a tough. I mean, because there's so many different filmmakers and artists. I mean, I'd love to. I mean, look, a dream would be to be in a Tarantino or a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. I really love binge-worthy shows like a Breaking Bad kind of a story that really intrigues you. So I like kind of the mystery thriller and suspense kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, man, that's wow. No, that's a good question. But yeah, any of as long as the content's good and the
Mhm.
cast and crew are it's the right, it always has to be. I'm fortunate enough where it's really always been the right crowd, the right people that I've worked with, and just such extraordinary diverse talent. It's been it's been a good ride.
Yeah. So I've seen that you interviewed so many actors over the past few years. So who is your dream person to interview?
Oh wow. let's see. I always got to say, Michael Rosenbaum, he was one of the reasons I got into it. I was working with him prior to the pandemic, and his podcast Inside of You was a motivation for me doing this show. So, we're in touch. We talk a lot, but I think once when the time is right, I'd love to have like a full circle moment with that.
So, has there been anyone that has inspired you or helped you along your acting and hosting careers?
Oh wow, a lot of people. I really owe a lot to my mom. She's always been my main supporter, and she was just always encouraged, like whatever I was interested in, she was always pushing me to really go for it. And I really have to give credit to just so many of the great artists and people that I've worked with, because every time I'm on a set, I learn something new or something else kind of gets brought out of me that I didn't know was there. So it's really it's a team, and anyone who I've been fortunate enough to work with and share a good conversation and a good experience with, they're in my book.
So, as someone who has just started in the hosting industry, can you give me and other future hosts some advice on being a good host slash interviewer?
Oh, I think you're doing great at what you're doing. I think it's just really be you and just find what works for you. What works for me might not work for you, but you might have something better than I think you might be good at something that I'm not that good at. So I think just really knowing what you want to do. And with me, it's like I really like to know a lot about my guests, or even like sometimes I'll interview someone who I haven't met yet, but they did a movie that really inspired me, or then I'll run into someone and be like, oh yeah, we both worked with the same director or the same actor. And it's always interesting. I mean, for me personally, I find it more interesting when there's certain people that there were parallels with, like either with our careers, or we were kind of in the same circles and then met up at a certain point in time. I've had a few of those, or even someone who I've known a long time. So it's yeah, everyone's a bit unique, but just know what works for you. I mean, the fact that you're here, you've had me on your show, and yeah, just do what you're passionate about.
Well, thank you. So, that was all the questions. So, thank you so much, Cash, for coming on. It was great talking to you and getting to learn about you and your career.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on the show, and good luck with everything, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Well, have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you for your time.
Oh, goodbye.
Bye.